On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, we broaden our minds to discuss Partyman from the Batman album. Joining me for this discussion is Richard Cole. Welcome back to the show, Richard.
Welcome to AM, Jason. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long since we last talked about Escape, the B-side from Glam Slam off of the Love Sexy album. So we're just moving right along. Now we're into 1989's Batman album. And Partyman's the song for the day. It was the second single from the album. It was a pretty decent, or moderate hit, top 20 in the pop charts, top 5 in the R&B charts, crossed over in other countries as well. Batman was a project that you wanted to participate in, Richard, and I assume there's a reason behind that. So would you mind sharing with the listeners kind of like your Batman story and what were your thoughts about the project and overall?
Yeah, I mean, as John Schnepp used to say, rest in peace, that, we're comic book sweaties. So I'm a comic book reader since probably the age of 4. And yeah, Batman was kind of one of the early ones. But, growing up and getting interested in reading comics, trying to draw comics and make up superheroes. I had some friends that were, equally interested in that. And one in particular is a friend named John Rochester. He'd also passed away a few years ago. But I remember like around 86, 87, we would have these conversations about, the Batman, like if they did a Batman movie, what would it look like? And it was like 4 or 5 of us. And, we would throw out names like Harrison Ford as Batman, Michael J. Fox as Robin. And I remember John kind of, predicted kind of the outcome of the Batman movie. He's like, look, Batman should be in all black body armor. Jack Nicholson should be the Joker and Prince should do the soundtrack.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
3 years later, that's what happened, Except no Harrison Ford as Batman, but
yeah. I mean, I think we talked about this before. Michael Keaton kind of came out of left field, I think, for a lot of people as far as playing Bruce Wayne / Batman. So that would have been a tough one to predict, I think, in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, we panicked. We were like, the Mr. Mom guy. Oh, man. This movie's going to be like the TV show again. But that first
Beetlejuice is playing Bruce Wayne. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
But that first trailer, yeah, he sold us. He sold it to us.
Yeah, no, he ultimately ended up being a very memorable Batman. Of course, Nicholson, iconic as the Joker, and Prince doing the soundtrack. It's like I can't believe that was predicted too, because up until that point, Prince had not, done any kind of soundtrack work for anything that wasn't his project. I mean, yes, there was a song on the Bright Lights Big City soundtrack. So he'd had stuff that was selected or that he, gave to somebody curating a soundtrack for a film that he had nothing to do with. But there was no precedence for this either in Prince's career to do an entire album's worth of songs inspired by a movie that he had zero creative input into. So yeah, that was a pretty bold prediction, I would say, and it was right. He was right on the money.
Yeah, but we didn't know anything, as far as we knew Prince was always self-contained, but I think back, we never thought of like he was above doing soundtracks for other things.
Sure.
We just thought he was that prolific that he could take 6 months and do a soundtrack for somebody else's film.
Yeah, it's kind of like a creative exercise. Like I'm given the script, I'm showing a few dailies because, a lot of these songs were written before the movie was even completely wrapped. And, or tailor some older songs that could fit the narrative of the film, like Electric Chair or something like that, and say like, all right, well, I can do this. I'm given these parameters. This is my assignment. Do I understand the assignment or do I not? And Prince understood the assignment, I think, very well, and able to execute something that fit the vision of for the greater film, Tim Burton's vision, but also still clearly stay true to himself. I mean, this was a Prince album, and he wouldn't have. I just don't see him completely changing his way of creating and his sound to make it sound like something for a movie, but not. But miss the elements that made the music funky, or made the music fun, or made the music just stand out. And this song, Partyman, that we're going to be doing here and talking about as the second single, it's kind of like Bat Dance was the first single and was a big hit. Neither of these songs, they're more like soundscapes, or they have a bit more, they have less in terms of like lyrical content and more just like a vibe or a feeling that you're supposed to get from them. And Partyman is a song that is used pretty extensively in a memorable scene in the film, which a lot of these songs from the Batman soundtrack you can't say. But this is certainly a very memorable scene. It's like all the Joker. It's like most of the Joker songs get the highlights in the movie because they soundtrack some outlandish scene involving the Joker, and in this one in particular, it soundtracks the scene where he bum rushes the museum and starts, defacing art, and then I think he's trying to like kidnap Vicky Vale in this scene as well. So yeah, there's this whole musical segment of the song, or this movie, that includes this song. So when you first saw Batman, Richard, the timing's a little sketchy for me. Did you see the movie first, or did you listen to the album first? Do you even recall? That's a tough question. I know we're asking you something to recall something over 30 years ago, but
yeah, because I was living in California at the time, but I would come home to St. Louis, and typically, right around the summer. And I think I'm trying to remember. I don't remember like getting off the plane to go see the movie, but it was a thing where, again, a couple of friends of mine, they were planning on going to see it, and I think they asked me to come along. And one, you might have heard him on on my show as a guest. I guess he had picked up the cassette, and then he got me one too, since he was at the record store, and it was just like, okay, here, I'll pay you back for it. But I think we were listening to the soundtrack on the way, and I think they might have seen the film already. I think as it's starting to come back to me, I think they saw the film already. So they're like, oh yeah, so yeah, you're going to look for this song in this scene, and this is what's going to happen. And, that type of thing. So,
right.
So I kind of had a gist of what was going to take place with the movie. So by the time I saw it and saw where certain songs were placed in context, with certain scenes, then it was like, oh, okay, great. But yeah, I had lived with the cassette, seen the movie. Oh God, probably that summer, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 times in the theater. Later bought the CD, had the cassette single for Bat Dance. And then later when Partyman was released as a single, now back in California at that time, and bought the 12-inch single at Tower Records.
Okay.
And,
those 12-inch singles were the bomb. I mean, Batman was no different.
Yeah, it's weird, just remembering, the Batman movie, the phenomena surrounding it, the mania surrounding it. the singles, and even Partyman. This actually buying the 12-inch single. I also bought I think it was a Spin magazine also, but there was an ad for
Rest in peace, Spin magazine.
Yeah,
there you go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they are out of print now.
Yeah.
But there was an ad for a Prince fan magazine. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. I don't think anyone's ever done that. So I sent away for it. But what I got back wasn't the magazine. It was these sort of photocopied sheets of, Prince articles from other magazines and newspapers, and a list of bootlegs.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that's what the real purpose of it was.
1999 tour, this date, cassette $10, something. Mm-hmm. So I have a very complicated history with Partyman, the single.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I saw the film first, so my first exposure to this song would have been in that Joker scene where he gleefully trashes the museum. And the single, I'm looking at the timing of that, was released like in late summer of '89. So yeah, I was pretty early on the Batman train in terms of like watching it in theaters. So I would have seen it shortly after it came out. So pretty sure I didn't hear the full song of Partyman until it was released as a single, which was after I saw the film because I didn't have the soundtrack right away. So that's kind of my order. At least that's what I think it was 3 years later. But it's hard to remember. Timing is time's a trick. It's hard. Our brains trick us into thinking things it happened in a certain way, in a certain order, and we're not always accurate. But it's best we can do.
Yeah. Now, I never thought Partyman was a bad song or a terrible song, and I liked how it's placed in the movie. But when I had the cassette and even with the CD, it was a song to where I kind of just not skipped it, but it was the song before Vicky Waiting, which is kind of one of my main favorites on the album. But the video.
Yeah, let's talk about the video.
Yeah. Seeing the video for the first time, and it had like sort of the extended version of that, which I guess motivated me to like, okay, I'm going to go get the 12-inch if that version is on it, which it was. Mm-hmm. And I started enjoying the song more based on the video and the 12-inch single. And remember that little mini documentary that Albert McNally did? It was kind of, I guess you call it a sizzle reel now, where they were trying to do a long documentary for Prince, but they only had these 15 minutes. And the scene where he's recording a bass overdub for Partyman.
No, I don't think I've seen this, Richard. This sounds fascinating.
I'm sure it's got to be on YouTube now. You can find it. But yeah, it's actually a lot of that footage ended up in a BBC documentary on Prince for it. But it was a lot of stuff from the Love Sexy tour. And they would interview like Eric Clapton. They interviewed George Clinton. And this is just the sizzle reel, not the BBC one. Terrence Trent D'Arby, Miles Davis, Quincy Jones, sort of these sound bites of them talking about how great Prince is. And it's, mixed in with the Love Sexy tour. It's footage of him recording God Is Alive with Mavis Staples. And like I said, there's a scene where he's recording the bass overdub for Partyman.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about now. I've seen bits. Once you mentioned it had included a little bit of him with Mavis doing God Is Alive, then that sparked my recollection of that. Because, that's another song that was recorded around this time, had potential intentions for Prince, but then he gave it to Mavis. And so 88, 89, that's this whole era. And this song, just talking quickly about Partyman, well, let me finish the thought on the video. So the video,
Okay.
for those who haven't watched it or haven't taken the time to watch it, because music videos are kind of an antiquated thing nowadays, or it's hard. You have to seek them out. Let's put it that way. Like if you don't just
Yeah.
accidentally turn on the TV and come across a Prince video anymore, like you used to back in the day. Now you got to look for it. All these videos have been, put out there on the official Prince YouTube channel, so you can check it out. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
in this music video, which was directed by Albert Magnoli, the same director of Purple Rain, Prince plays the character of Gemini. He's literally like Two-Face, half
Yeah.
Joker and half Prince. And throughout they're kind of recreating in some ways that scene from the museum, but it's more of a party scene where in that scene there isn't all of the guests there as there is in the music video. But yeah, anyway, so it's a fun video. Check it out. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. But,
Yeah.
it's fun. Look at it if you can.
Oh,
And
yeah.
as far as the recording of the song, the way the story goes online, and of course I don't have a way to corroborate this, so you could tell me if you've heard the same thing or if you read the same thing or what the likelihood is. But allegedly, Prince met Jack Nicholson after the movie had already been in production, and was kind of inspired by his portrayal of the Joker to create this song, "Partyman," for as the as sung by the Joker, because that scene in the museum, and hopefully I got this right. I believe that they had used the song 1999 as the music that they all kind of danced around to, and had this, like I said, this trashing of the museum scene too.
Yeah.
So they could all kind of move to music, so they didn't have to pretend like there was music playing, because somebody, like, I don't know if it's one of his henchmen, pulls up a boombox and starts playing music, plays a tape or whatever, and we hear "Party Man," of course, because that's the song that ultimately replaced it. But I think that they were listening to 1999 when filming the scene. Is that
Right.
what
Yeah,
you read
that's
as
right.
well or understood? Okay. I mean, I read stuff online. I never want to like just assume, like, because everybody knows, just because you read it online, don't make it true. But I feel like this one, and there's been enough people that were there to confirm that this is a true story.
Yeah, I
And
think
so,
was it. Let's see, Rolling Stone. I think when they announced, it was either announced when they announced Prince was going to do the soundtrack, or it might have been an interview with Tim Burton after the movie. But yeah, I think it's in one of those articles where they said that they were using 1999 for that scene, and then "Baby I'm a Star," which was replaced by "Trust."
right. Yes.
In the movie.
Yeah.
And then
That's what I read too.
Then I think the idea was like, oh well, why don't we get Prince to do the soundtrack?
Yeah, it's getting original new songs. I mean, these by 88, 89, those songs were all 5, 6 years old. So yeah, let's get some new music from the man instead of licensing his old music.
Right.
I mean, it was all Warner Brothers, so I mean, probably wouldn't have been quite as expensive to use his music, but still, you gotta get his permission too, right? So, so that's kind of a interesting, cool little tidbit of trivia about this song, is that it replaced 1999 in that scene. So that's what we hear on screen, but that's not what they were dancing to at the time when the scene was filmed. And as far as like the 12-inch, yeah, you've got the video mix, basically the version that is in the video, which is, I think maybe like almost 3 minutes longer. It's like twice as long as the version off the album, which is fairly short. The album version is only like just over 3 minutes long.
Right.
And the video version extends that because they're trying to, it's almost like a little mini movie in this music video, just like kind of Bat Dance was as well. Even though I think the Partyman video has even more plot than the Bat Dance video does. And you get Candy Dulfer in a music video, I think.
Yeah, it was her debut, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And I believe so. I thought I read somewhere that maybe Michael Bland's debut too in a
Oh
music
yeah,
video.
yeah, he's in the yeah. It was like, wait, what happened to the Love Sexy band? The sign of who are these? You know.
Yeah, Eric Leeds gone, Sheila E. gone. So we've got Michael and Candy now, and they would, go on to be longtime collaborators with Prince throughout the years. He says something along the lines, because we're not going to cover the video mix, any lyrics from that, because most of it's just the same. But one line that's fairly memorable, to me at least, is when he says something like, "When I want sax, I call Candy," and then that's her cue to do her saxophone solo. I just found that funny, just because make sax sex. It's kind of a play on words there, but
yeah,
Prince being Prince. Anything else that you wanted to bring up and talk about the song in general before we jump into the lyrics?
No, I think that was it. Yeah, like I said, it used to be the song I would just kind of vibe off of till you get to the Vicky Waiting,
yeah,
and all of that. But it was the video again that kind of shifted my focus and like take a deeper listen to that song, and then the little clip of him overdubbing the bass as well. Like, oh wow, I didn't realize that was in that. I don't know if it's still in the final mix. I tried listening to the video version to listen for it, and I couldn't quite find it with everything else going on in the mix. But it just kind of made me realize how much funkier of a track that Partyman is as before, when I first got the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this song is funky and fun. It's not deep. It's
right.
Not deep at all. We don't have like an hour and a half's worth of dissection like in Little Red Corvette or Sign of the Times or When Doves Cry. Like, it's not that song.
Right. It's not Housequake either, but
no.
But it works for the movie.
Exactly. It fits the narrative of the film more or less. The Joker comes across in the film as, while very dangerous and violent, has violent tendencies, he also seems to enjoy the chaos that he introduces into people's lives, and a little bit of the danger. Like, the Joker is, visually, you look at him and he's smiling because he's got that permanent smile on his face, but obviously behind that smile is something to be afraid of. And Partyman kind of paints the Joker as a fun-loving person, somebody just looking for a good time. And in this scene, it's kind of a fun scene until, of course, then it gets scary and violent when Vicky Vale, joins, and he's trying to kidnap her, and he pulls a gun, and things are starting to take a dark turn. But up until that point, you're just kind of jamming along with him and his henchmen, like I said, gleefully trashing the museum because stuffy museum and artwork, and some of it's pretentious, and you're just like, yeah, man, smash that. That stuff sucks. So you have the juvenile id of our personalities are like, yeah, do it, Joker. Yeah. Do something that I wish I could do, but can't and won't because it's wrong or it's immoral or it's illegal. The Joker fills that need in us, and dubbing him the Partyman in the song kind of gives him a little more of a human touch. We all kind of know that, or have met those people in our lives where they're fun to be around in small doses, right? Like they're the life of the party, but as Prince said, parties weren't meant to last, or as Dez says, parties were never meant to last. And so like that whole persona gets old after a while. Like at some point you have to tone it down. You have to join the real life. But this song's all about just that moment of gleeful partying and enjoying, the moment of life where you're able to do that. Okay, so like a lot of songs on this album, it incorporates dialogue from the film. So what we get right off of the bat is spoken intro from Jack as the Joker. He says, "Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?" And then we join into we get the music starting at that point. In the very first verse, that Prince sings, and really like one of the only one to maybe two verses you could even call a verse in the song.
Right.
So it goes, "All hail the new king in town. Young and old, gather round. Black and white, red and green. The funkiest man you've ever seen. Tell him what his name is." And then we roll into the chorus. So, I mean, like with this first verse, you kind of get the impression that the new king is the Joker, aka the Partyman. That's he's talking about here. Because again, this is sung from the perspective of the Joker. I think I've already mentioned that, but just wanted to reiterate it. Young and old gather around, just, black and white, another like trying to corral everyone, all walks of life, all races, creeds, and colors. But then inclusion of the words red and green is a kind of an interesting thing here, because obviously there aren't, red and green people. But this is a reference. It's got to be a reference to the Joker's colors, right? Is that what you take away from it?
Oh yeah. His uses color scheme was kind of green and purple most of the time.
Yeah, sometimes the red can be found on the lips, but yeah, otherwise.
Oh yeah.
Like his clothes, are mostly purple for sure. But yeah, and I didn't remember this because it'd been a little bit since I had seen the video, but then when I watched it again in preparation, I noticed that right at the time that Prince says this, black and white, red and green, it flashes to a scene of one of the Joker's henchmen defacing like a bust in the art museum, and he's got spray painting the hair green and drawing exaggerated like red lips on him. So it's like, all right, well, that's pretty straightforward then now that when you look at it that way. He's just referring to kind of like, besides the purple, which of course is an aspect of the Joker's color scheme as well, but red and green are right there with the, at least from the head up.
Yeah, and then like you said, the paint being thrown around too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the Joker's funky. We get that. So Joker fancies himself to be a funky man. Okay, so sure, you can call yourself funky if you want, if you think that you are.
Yeah, it's kind of calls back to later in the film, when he's announcing his appearance at the Gotham Festival. He says, "Look, I'm not a killer. I'm an artist. I love a good time."
Yeah, right. So he's, instead of calling himself the craziest man you've ever seen, or the most murderous man you've ever seen, he calls himself funky. All right, that's fine. I mean, it's just kind of like a fill-in word. He looking at himself maybe in his own lens, as opposed to what other people or how other people look at him. They wouldn't necessarily call him funky, but he calls himself funky. People wouldn't look at him as an artist, but he thinks he's an artist. So, whatever. It's a little delusional, but I think that his character is delusional. So it fits again.
Oh, yeah. And I guess, for a lot of people that aren't comic book sweaties, or, haven't had that real deep dive into, say, the 60, 70, well, let's see, more than that, but 70, 80 years of Batman comics that have been around. We've had different movies that are inspired by those, but you have that complicated relationship between the psychology of Batman and the psychology of the Joker. And I guess one of the common themes, and it plays out in the lyrics of Partyman, plays out in lyrics of other songs on the Batman soundtrack. A lot of movies, since this first one, have taken a deeper dive into that sort of relationship where you have a Bruce Wayne who, at whatever age, 6 years old, 12 years old, depending on who's rebooting the story, where all sense of his life has been taken away by the murder of his parents. But instead of, growing up to, run for mayor or be a police commissioner or he uses his billions to try to make Gotham better. But at the same time, he goes nuts and puts on a bat suit and goes out at night and punishes the hell out of criminals. And that sort of, that sort of figure, kind of inspires these sort of other, flawed individuals or, cracked up individuals. But instead of doing things to help people, they're doing things to harm people. And that's sort of that yin and yang with Batman and the Joker, where in probably some of the best, versions of the Joker, it's like, yeah, he's this kind of silly, this clown, kind of
literally a clown.
Yeah, literally a clown, court, I kind of want to say court jester type or something, but he's a serial killer.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. And because I guess Batman is such a powerful figure for good, but he also recognizes that, yeah, this is a very cracked up dude to run around dressed up as a bat and do this. So there's this sort of attraction. Maybe it's not a sexual attraction, but that whole yin and yang of their existence, sort of like, Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty. That's that dynamic. You're the best protagonist and antagonist. They have that sort of deeper conflict with each other. So in relationship to like the Partyman lyrics, it's a thing where, okay, Batman has been existing for quite a while. When the Joker, I guess, fully becomes the Joker, then in his mind, he's the one that's like, okay, I'm the one. I'm the new king in town. My job is to eliminate the Batman so that the world will recognize me as this figure of whatever, inspiring fear or inspiring chaos and anarchy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good segue into the chorus, because the chorus then goes, party man, rock a party like nobody can. Rules and regulations, no place in his nation. Party man. So right there, we're getting like anarchy within the lyrics. Rules and regulations, no place here. Like, get them out. That's not what we're doing. We're not enforcing any kind of law, lawfulness here. Anarchy is the name of the game, and this is what he revels in. The character of the Joker revels in anarchy, and he tries to, like the whole scene in the museum, he's trying to trash the stuffy art museum, and then you've got the scene with Trust later on where he's trying to show how the basic human instincts, one of them is greed, and how easy it is to turn people into greedy monsters, basically, by tossing cash out at them, that they're so oblivious to what his ultimate intention is to slaughter them all. And so the whole rules of society, regulations of society, he wants to toss out the window, and that's what this chorus, and Prince clearly saw that. Either he saw enough of the film to understand that, or knew enough of, even if he hadn't seen the film, being a fan of Batman comics and having watched the TV show back in the 60s, you get a sense for what the Joker's MO is, and it's always kind of been of this nature, like he's reveling in this kind of chaos and anarchy. So yeah, that's the chorus. Anything about the chorus other than like the comment we already talked about the rules and regulations, no place in his nation? I did want to mention, I always thought no place in this nation, because it's really kind of hard to understand if Prince is saying no place in his nation or no place in this nation. Yes. Did you have a version that you heard?
I always thought it was this nation.
Yeah, so did I. But I'm looking at Genius lyrics, and it could be wrong. I don't know. I don't think, does the Batman album have lyrics, printed lyrics?
Oh, you know what? might. Let's see. Taking a look now.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of this. Because I always heard no place in this nation, and I guess no place in his nation is, it has a different context.
Let's see.
Because it kind of means like he's taken over, and now this is the new world order, so to speak.
Okay. Yep. It's in the lyric sheet. It's this nation.
Okay. All right. So Genius is wrong. Note to self. See if I can get an annotation on that one. Or feel free, anybody who's listening. You see that it's still wrong when you go back to it later.
Yeah, remember, there's someone out there that, thinks Little Red Corvette is pay the rent, collect.
Oh, Lord. I mean, at least this difference seems pretty subtle and minor. That one is a very significant difference. Okay, well, I'm glad we got it right. So rules and regulations, no place in this nation. Party man. But again, the whole fact that he's talking about rules and regulations have no place in this new society that the Joker is trying to embark in is what the goal of, his manifesto and what he's trying to do and what this song is speaking to. But he likens himself to basically a party man, rock a party like nobody can. So, whether that means literally rocking a party, like being the life of the party, or having, the ability to get the party started, figuratively and literally, or rock a party, meaning like, I don't know, like rock the boat or rock society, or just change the ways of thinking. In the world of Gotham City. All right. Anyway, so anything else with the chorus, Richard?
No, that's about, I think that touches on everything. As far as, again, that whole exploration into the character of the Joker.
Yeah.
And again, if those that aren't into comics, if you do want to explore sort of the Joker, where I think in a lot of minds, the Cesar Romero version of the Joker has always been the dominant version. So again, you kind of get that image of, here's this funny guy running around robbing banks and, trying to torture Batman and Robin, and, and depending on who's doing the writing, he's either telling really good jokes or really sick, twisted jokes that are so sick, but you laugh anyway. But that was always the dominant perception. But there are, like, the very first issue of Batman that introduces the Joker was one that I read a reprint of when I was like 8 or 9. And there was nothing comical about that Joker at all. I mean, like the first few pages, he's, hacking the radio waves and is like, yeah, I'm going to kill so-and-so at 12 o'clock midnight. And, the police are there and nothing happens. But then the person they're trying to protect, all of a sudden his face twists into this, really twisted smile. And then he falls down dead in it. Yeah. And, like I said, having watched the TV show a lot at that point, I was like, wow, this is a different Joker. But this was 1940 versus 1966. And this 1940 version was like, whoa, it didn't scare me or anything like that, but I just thought like, whoa, this is serious.
Right. You weren't seeing that in the 60s television version from that Joker. No.
And not even the 1960s comics, which, what we know now in the 50s, the government had, tried to crack down on comics, saying they were too violent and they were corrupting children's minds. And they've basically forced the industry to come up with these silly scenarios for superheroes. It wasn't taken seriously at all until Marvel came along. But if you want to take a deeper dive, like I said, that very first issue of Batman is one to go to. There's a short run of, I say, actually, there's an issue, the Joker's Five-Way Revenge. I forget what issue that comic is, but it's written by Denny O'Neil and drawn by Neil Adams. And that kind of brought the Joker back to that sort of, yeah, he's a clown, but no, this is a homicidal maniac.
Yeah, I think Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker in Tim Burton's Batman is a nice maybe middle ground between the two. I mean, he's definitely scary at times and homicidal and can be violent, but at also times he's comical. He's funny, and he can come across as less intimidating as he really is. So like a nice mixture of the very early comics version, or what, you could even say like the current versions of the Joker, like the ones from Heath Ledger's version, and there's been others more recently. So like maybe like a nice mixture, like a little bit of the comical aspects and the fun aspects, but also not forgetting who he really is and what he's really capable of.
Exactly.
So that's kind of why I always appreciated Jack's portrayal of the Joker, because you can go real dark, or you can go super light and jokey, and whatever. There's still the Joker. I don't think there's no wrong answer. Just preference. What do you like? What's your preference?
Oh yeah, and like I said again, there's 80 years worth of comics. We now have 30 plus years of movies.
Yeah.
The majority of them are really great movies. And let's see, what do we have? We've had one, two. There's been a Joker film.
Yeah, you got the Joaquin Phoenix one.
Yeah, that one too. Forgot about that.
Which is a dark film. It's a very dark film.
Exactly.
There's nothing funny about that movie at all.
Oh no, not at all. Failed comedian with mental health issues.
Yep. Yeah.
But like I said, there's a rich history. Like I said, as far as if you want to take a dive into the comics, but then there are also the movies. If you've seen them, or if you want to take a second look after this episode, definitely check out the first Batman movie. Check out Dark Knight. If you want to check out the Joker, check out the Joker movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of different portrayals that you can refer back to and kind of pick your personal favorites, and consider that your definitive version then. Because exactly. There really is no definitive version. Every version's potentially a definitive version depending on which ones kind of transcend the medium that they're in and kind of capture the imagination of the fans. That's the way it works. Okay, so moving on then, after the chorus, you got some more party type lyrics. Party people, say it now. Yeah, 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 yeah. Then you get Prince's, high-pitched scream. Somebody holla if you want to party. And then you get somebody in the background saying, ladies and gentlemen, no pictures, please.
Yeah, I think that
was
personal commentary.
You're right. It's Prince saying, like, seriously, back up. Back up,
that's
paparazzi.
Yeah. He's had some infamous moment with the
right. We all know
I think that's still what was that 4 years later, that still touched a nerve. Yeah.
And just in case listeners aren't aware of what we're talking about, it's the post We Are the World dust up that he had with, or his bodyguard had with the paparazzi at that time. So that made the tabloids. Get it up. Oh yeah, party man. He says, get it up again. And then you've got a sample of Kim Basinger saying, ooh, I love purple. Or she doesn't exactly say, ooh, I love purple, or something like that. I'm trying to use her inflection, but yeah, sounds very sensual there.
Yeah, that's I'm sure everybody's seen the film, many times over. over the last 30 years. But in case you haven't, I don't know, it's not really a spoiler, but you actually hear that line closer to the, I guess, the climax of the film.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we get, after that little sample of Kim Basinger, we get what I guess Genius is calling the second verse. I'll do the same. I rock the party, I rock the house, I rock the whole world, north, east, and south. In the west, 17 horns blowing. And you get a little blurb of horns.
Yes, I think it's a sample.
I think it's a sample too. I don't think it's live horns. I don't see any live horns on the credits.
Yeah, because I think let's see, I have to get the CD out again, but I think a lot of them, if they're not presets on whatever keyboard he's using on those, then I think a lot of the horn stuff is stuff that he's sampled Eric Leeds for.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, because I think he's also used samples, maybe not on this song, but or maybe he did, and kind of blended the two. But yeah, Claire Fisher isn't credited so much as, the official string arranger on this. I want to say that he was credited for, again, just like Eric Leeds, where Prince sampled a lot of Claire Fisher's orchestral parts from, I guess other stuff he's done on Prince songs to blend into some of the songs on the Batman soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. So I don't really have much to say about this quote unquote second verse. I mean, the 17 horns blowing, Prince has referenced 17 before, 17 days. 17 includes the number 7, which we know has significance to Prince as from personal and spiritual angles. I mean, any thoughts on these lines, Richard?
Let's see. Well, I was going to say, I know the Get It Up part, or the Get It Up lyric. I don't know. Did we talk about how, I guess, the origin of this song? I want to say this was something he did, or he had the basics of the song like as far back as 82.
Oh.
But then, as Prince said in a Rolling Stone interview, that when he met Jack Nicholson, like when Jack Nicholson sat down at the table and the way that he put his feet up on the table, that it reminded him of Morris Day. So I don't know if Partyman was written on the spot after that meeting, or it just reminded him of Morris Day to the point of, oh, you know what? I got this track, Partyman, in the vault, and let me just go finish it.
Yeah. And of course, Get It Up is the name of a Time song too. So yeah, there's connections there.
So that, there's that connection with that one. The 17 horns, I don't know. I'm not really that up on numerology. Let me see if
I'm not either, but I've been kind of forced to by doing this show because there's so many references, like Prince is, I think, into it. So with all the references to 7 and then occasionally 17, I've had to do a little deeper dive into some of it. But I don't feel like this is a spiritual album, really. He has a line here or there that you could point to as being, having a spiritual bent to it. But I just personally, I think he kind of set that aside. Love Sexy is still fairly fresh. He feels like he did what he needed to do there in Love Sexy, and he's about to do it again, go a very spiritual angle on Graffiti Bridge. But I just don't feel like this was the project where pushing that narrative or pushing those ideas and thoughts into the music was really gonna serve the project. So I think he was wise to kind of keep a lot of that out.
And also I think it was that same Rolling Stone interview, the one from 1990, the second Neil Carlin interview. He mentioned that, getting to watch how a big budget movie is, all the mechanics it takes to put together something that large with so many millions of dollars at stake, which, movies aren't easy to make. Even if you have, obviously, you see with Graffiti Bridge, which was a $7 million budget, it's not an easy movie to make, let alone make it a good film, or even, you're lucky if it can be a great film.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to watch the pressure when you have that many millions at stake, I remember reading where Prince was just saying, look, whatever it is you need, Mr. Burton, here it is. You want me to take this song out? Okay, I'll take this song out. Here, I'll go write another 10 songs if you need it, or I won't write any if you don't want me to write anymore. I think it was just a thing of, watching that where it was something that Prince himself wasn't in control of. Like you said, it was work for hire, or he was the hired gun for this soundtrack, to where he put his, his ego aside, or his need to control the situation. It was like, whoa, this is something that's beyond me. It's like, dealing with budgets for albums, heck, dealing with the $7 million budget for Purple Rain. I don't know how much Under the Cherry Moon costs, but again, that's pressure enough. But to see something when you're talking about, I think that movie was made, Batman was made for like $150 million, which was astronomical for that time.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, your average big budget blockbuster was like 25 million. For them.
Yeah, this needed to succeed. This needed to make money, and it needed to make a lot of money in order to get into the green. And I think Prince really understood the assignment. I said that before, and I'll reiterate that. He understood the assignment. Pushing his message, his spiritual message, wasn't part of the assignment. That wasn't being asked of him. So he put it aside. He's like, I'm going to do my own thing. I mean, I'm sure in early 89, he was already thinking about the next thing, as he always tends to be, on to the next thing before he even finishes the first thing or the current thing. So Graffiti Bridge was going to be that next thing. It's like, I've got my next project that I'll be in complete control of. Whether you feel like complete control to a detriment or not, that's personal thought. But he would be able to talk about and deliver whatever messages he wanted, and that was not part of what Batman needed. Mm-hmm. So anyway, good discussion. After those lines about the 17 horns blowing, you get more repeat of Partyman, and I'll skip something quick and we'll go back to it. He says, "Get it up again. All hail the new king in town." You got the do, the little piano piece. Ain't nothing but a muffin. We got a lot of butter to go. So he's just kind of riffing here a little bit. And if it break, when it bend, you better not put it in. So that's kind of more a little. It could be interpreted as risque, I suppose.
Prince innuendo.
Yeah, it can be interpreted as risque for sure.
Yeah, classic Prince innuendo.
Yeah. Otherwise, this album is pretty like PG in terms of its language and lyrics. And even that's really minor. You have to really kind of understand the way biology works in order to understand what they're talking about. So that's going to go over most children's heads. But I hear I don't know if I got this right, but I hear like what I hear is maybe a Jamaican patois here with "Lose Me Now, Boy," "Ride 'em, Boy," and of course it's done in what sounds to me like a Jamaican patois. I don't know. What do you think?
I was always curious, like what was going on in that part as well. But when you watch the video, he's under the piano, or I don't know. He kind of, I guess there's gymnastics on the piano, I guess, where, if I would be curious if you just drop the soundtrack out of the video, and if you just hear him, I guess him like on top of the piano, then spins around and makes his way under the piano while playing that piano part with whatever, 2, 3, 4 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's genius. We've seen him play a guitar with one hand and play keyboard simultaneously with the other, and I don't know anybody that can do that, really. But that whole sequence in the video, even though it doesn't make it clear as to what's going on with all the spoken word stuff underneath, but I think it's just one. I always just looked at it as it's another one of those really obscure, maybe Prince in jokes, you know, kind of reminiscent of the extended version of the Kiss video, where it's like, you know, him and Jill Jones, and they're kind of, you know, playing this sort of, I don't know, this almost like honeymooners type couple, or, you know, stereotypical New York couple, you know, where they're going, Prince is on the TV again. Oh, he's strange. Turn it on. You know, I think it's kind of
Right.
that type of in joke thing. But I think now the way the video plays it, she was almost, the girl in the video was almost like, oh, now I want to say like high society, but, you know, somebody that in their minds were just a little too cool for school almost.
Mm.
And again, like I said, it's one of those in jokes to where, I don't know, I guess we had to have been in Paisley Park at the time to fully get the joke.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. It's confusing. Yeah. I think that there's probably a lot of thoughts people have had over the years because nothing's ever been explained. And it's still not explained. I'm not explaining anything to anybody here. I'm just kind of like, okay, I always heard like some Jamaican accent potentially, and I didn't, you know, maybe there was just somebody at the party that was speaking in that manner, and so it was like trying to imply, like, because it's supposed to be a party man's throwing a party, and just more voices of party guests. What they're talking about here maybe is less clear. You know, he says giddy up, and then she says in the background, ride 'em boy, and okay, yeah, again, that's more like euphemisms. Right after it says for break, when it bend, you better not put it in. So you're getting the sexual and playful aspects of Prince and the Joker as the party man in the song towards the end of it here, I think, and a little bit in this, and maybe it could be a bit back and forth, like party man is trying to hit on a woman or something, and she's, you know, resisting, or she's also kind of into it. Not sure. So open again to any interpretations, any and all.
Let's skip forward to the new tour where he does Party Man live. And that part is looped in the live performance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's that, I can't remember like the exact rhythm, but it's the riding boy, riding boy, like, so yeah, okay. You're right. So it's definitely another classic Prince innuendo.
Yep. That's cool. I gotta go find that and listen to that. I've watched many of the songs that he performed on the new tour from the Batman soundtrack, but I didn't remember that specifically, so I'm gonna have to like pay closer attention to that now that you've referred to it.
Yeah, you cracked the case.
We'll see.
We'll see. Like, wait a minute. Why does that sound familiar?
Yep, for sure. So he says the party man, repeats that a few more times before we get to the outro. Young and old, gather round. Everyone hail the new king in town. Or everybody hail the new king in town. That's what he says. Young and old, gather around. Everybody hail the new king in town. And then you get those potentially sampled horns below it at the end before it just kind of abruptly ends. And that's Party Man. That's the song. You know, the album version at least.
Yeah.
You want to jam out to the kind of the music and the vibe more, you just pop on the video mix or the Purple Party mix, and you've got, you know, another 3-4 minutes of music there.
Yeah.
To enjoy. But yeah, that's basically the song. I mean, it feels to me like it's just Prince is equating the Joker's philosophy of anarchy and violence and lawlessness to a party. Like, I don't always think like this song is referencing an actual party. Like it can be, but you can also interpret it, I think, because it's being sung by the Joker as, life's a party, and I'm gonna flip this party on its head. Um, basically treating life as a party in a way that most people would consider uh, maybe unexpected or uh, immoral. Trying to inject fun into what would typically be maybe like a frightening experience. Encountering the Joker in real life, like if we lived in Gotham City in the world of Batman, running into the Joker should be a scary experience. But when he's calling it a party, maybe you kind of loosen or lessen your fear and your inhibitions a bit. But yeah, it's just a big chaotic party, and the Joker's the host. It's kind of like what I get from this song overall. Do you have any final thoughts about the song yourself, Richard?
I still enjoy it. Like I said, I think ever since the video, ever since buying the 12-inch version, again, like I said, watching, I could just watch that. It's like about not even a minute long, I don't think, but I can watch Prince do that bass overdub, and it never gets old to me. I think, it's inspiring, and it really, a testament to his genius, how something is, I guess, is more poppy for a dance song, that these little subtle nuances, just make it funkier, where it's like, oh, this is just as funky as Housequake, but you just have to listen to it deeper to pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, I still enjoy the video version on the official Prince YouTube channel. You get both versions. It's a short version and the longer version. I love the longer version.
Yeah, me too. I prefer, if I'm gonna choose to watch either video, I'm gonna watch the longer version. Or if you have the 12-inch, you can flip it over, and listen to the long version there too.
Yeah. Now, if you buy the Batman, I guess I guess you buy the Blu-ray now too. Yeah, if you buy the Blu-ray, or I guess the anniversary DVD edition, 20th anniversary DVD, you get videos of Bat Dance, the short version of Partyman, and Scandalous.
Okay, that's cool.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, those are on the Blu-ray, and the documentaries on that, especially one where they talk about the soundtrack. There are little quick snippets of film clips where you actually see Prince on the set of
cool.
Batman. Yeah, talking to
cool.
Tim Burton. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Because from what we understand, it was a fairly collaborative. It wasn't like Prince just went back to the lab and did all of his work and hoped that it fit with the movie. It was like they were having discussions, and Prince was given, was able to see dailies and footage and talk to some of the actors and talk to the director. And so that was, I think, also very helpful in creating something that was cohesive and matched the tone of the film and worked well with it, which made it successful ultimately. Okay, so great. I'm glad you're on the show today, Richard. You opened my eyes to a lot. I haven't been as much into comic books in my life, so I'm glad that you had that knowledge and background to share with the listeners on it. But you also have your own show, so why don't you, if you don't mind sharing with everybody where they can find your show and what it's all about.
Okay, well, my show is Amari Purple Talk. It is also a podcast about Prince. You can find it through the Libsyn network. So in other words, your favorite podcast platform, you should be able to find it there. If not, I also have episodes up on YouTube as well. So just look for the Amari Communications channel on YouTube.
Excellent. Anything else you want to promote or talk about?
Not yet. I'm working on a couple of things.
I know you're doing some music stuff, but I mean,
Yeah.
we're not ready to talk about it yet. We'll say
I've got the 2 singles out. We Funk, To the Last Band, and then Save Yourself. Save Yourself was done on 4-track cassette. Really weird and avant-garde, but I like it and it's funky. So be sure to check those out. So richardcole.bandcamp.com, and the respective album and EP relating to those 2 singles are coming soon.
Well, everybody should check it out and follow them on Bandcamp and follow the show on whatever platform that you're listening to podcasts on, and give Richard your support and love. So I appreciate him being on the show. Thank you again, Richard.
Thank you, Jason, for having me on, and I'm always willing to come back.
You're always welcome. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics Podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show basically any podcast platform that you listen to podcasts on as well, just like Richard's. Also on YouTube, so check it out there. I have a channel. Discord as well, so if you like talking about Prince, you want to check out with some like-minded Prince fans, join the Press Rewind Discord, and we try to have fun there when we can. So thanks to the listeners, and until next time, goodbye.
Peace.